Cougar isn't a well recognised name in the peripheral market, but they're hoping to change that with the 550M mouse, which is competing in one of the hardest price brackets, with its main competition being the Razer Death Adder Chroma. The 550M is priced at $65, which makes it more expensive than the Chroma, but less costly than the SteelSeries rival 300, which is also another well-established brand and mouse. Cougar has equipped this mouse with the SD-NS 3988 optical sensor, Omron switches, a 1000Hz polling rate, and up to 6400 DPI, with a 3-stage DPI quick changer trigger. It also sports 6 programmable buttons and 16.8 million colour RGB in 2 separate zones. The overall aesthetics of this mouse is very angular and aggressive while sporting their company's signature orange colour, which can be found on many of their other products such as power supplies and cases. Cougar's logo was stamped in white on the palm area of the mouse, which would have been nice to see that area also colour adjustable or at least orange. I have the Space Grey edition, but this mouse also comes in a blue if that's more your thing. Let's have a look at the mouse. On the right hand side is 2 macro buttons, which I find the way my hand sits on the mouse difficult to press the furthest one comfortably without slightly shifting my hand forward, and they are also quite stiff. There is a 3-bar system in front of the buttons to signify which of the 3 DPI settings you are currently using, which is one of the 2 RGB controllable areas. This side is covered in textured plastic, which is also found on the right hand side, which is meant to help with grip, but instead feels cheap and at this price point should really be rubber. Looking at the top of the mouse is the extremely satisfying left and right click buttons, as well as the soft textured rubber coated scroll wheel, which requires the perfect amount of force to actuate. But if you scroll too far each way, the 2 orange plastic pieces either side of the wheel impede scrolling slightly, which makes it just feel slightly awkward. Below the scroll wheel is the DPI trigger, which you slide downwards to change the current DPI setting and cannot be pushed back up to cycle to the previous DPI. The problem I have found with this is sometimes I've not slid the trigger far enough to actually change the DPI, as it won't actuate until bottoming it out, which requires more force than just a quick movement, and may take some time to get used to properly. On the palm area underneath the logo is where you'll find the second RGB colour zone, which you will not be able to see whilst gaming but provides a nice little pop of colour when the mouse is not in use. Underneath you'll find the aforementioned 3988 optical sensor, which provides up to 50 grams of acceleration if required, and 4 extremely generously sized Teflon feet, which make this mouse have the smoothest glide I've ever experienced. Protruding at the front is the 1.8 meter braided USB cord with a gold plated connector, but the way it has been attached, I feel that it sticks out enough that you may accidentally knock the plastic casing and damage it, as it is quite flimsy. The mouse is constructed entirely of plastic but feels quite sturdy. The 550M measures 135mm long, 70mm wide, and 45mm high, which makes this mouse just a little bit too long for me, and I feel my hand slides back and sits a little bit uncomfortably instead of resting on top of the mouse as intended. But this did not cause any strain over long gaming sessions for me personally. This mouse is also quite weighty at 120 grams, which may turn people off, but thankfully I prefer a heavier mouse, so this suited me perfectly. Software is up next, which is called Cougar UIX System, available easily from their website. The first set of options you will see is the ability to switch between up to 3 modes, which can hold up to 3 DPI profiles and can be individually disabled if not required. Other settings include your polling rate, angle snapping, which is a nice addition to see, a double click, scrolling and Windows pointer speed options, and also the ability to set a sniper DPI setting with the option to separate the X and Y axis DPI, which you can also do with your 3 main DPI settings. Under the Key Assignment tab is this pretty cool feature of being able to change a button's function using a drag and drop system to completely change the button's primary function. These assignments are broken up into 3 tabs of Basic, which allows simple functionality changes, Advanced, which allows you to get a bit more in-depth, such as allowing buttons to have media or quick launch functions, and finally the last one is creating or importing macro profiles. The last tab is for lighting effects, which consists of having a static colour in each zone, breathing effect of a single colour in each zone, cycling of the full 16.8 million colour spectrum with no speed adjustment unfortunately, or just turning the lighting effects off completely. I have found that even though I have applied the exact same colour for both zones, it will display it completely differently, being quite a weak, washed out version of the colour on the DPI settings area compared to the palm area lighting, which is quite unfortunate and hard to fine tune it so that both areas are a close match. Overall, the lighting features on this mouse seem like a poor afterthought, and Cougar just saw it as an opportunity to join the RGB hype train. Next up, it's game time, the usual 2000 rounds in the CSGO aim training map to get a good feel for the mouse. After I'm all warmed up, it's time to go online with some TDM. Battlefield 4 is up next with both some rushing automatic gunfire as well as some precision sniping to get a good variety of scenarios. The mouse performed fantastic, with the sensor being completely flawless and never letting me down in a key gunfight. Overall, Cougar has done a great job with this mouse by implementing their own colours and design and not playing it safe, and their software is simple enough to grasp and won't have you tearing your hair out. Unfortunately, this mouse is let down by poor choice of side texturing, a few button issues, and not the greatest implementation of RGB, with more opportune spots not being utilised, making it seem like more of an afterthought or a gimmick than an appealing feature. This mouse does a good solid job of being a mouse, but it's the little things that let it down, so I will not be using this as my daily driver. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more reviews and other content in the future. If you have a suggestion, question or criticism, leave a comment, and thank you very much for watching.